I feel kind of sick. Come on, Marty, pass it on.
It's stimulating, mind-expanding, safer to use than alcohol. It's the in thing.
Do you have anything to say?
Judge, he's a good boy.
Hey guys, welcome. This is the first part of the doco we're doing. We're gonna explore into the social, spiritual, and political aspects of the hemp industry.
Hi, I'm Claire. I work for Offends in the design department. Designing with hemp, it's no different from any other fabric. The properties of hemp are amazing. It has antibacterial properties, it wears in, not out, like it's one of the strongest fibers on earth.
But like the truth, I guess, behind the whole hemp revolution for Offends was to glorify, to make something that had a stigma of a smelly, hippie market kind of fibre to being a cool fashion fibre. There's no doubt that hemp's the most sustainable fibre there is.
So how can our industry help with growth of hemp? Price of cotton is so much cheaper than hemp because it's so much easier to cultivate it, there's so much better technology. The best way we can help is by all using it, then we can put more money and resources into the development of better hemp equipment.
It's pretty confusing, this whole hemp and marijuana thing. What's the difference?
It's currently important to note the distinction under Australian law between hemp and marijuana. Because they're from the cannabis plant, they were originally all lumped in together as a prohibited substance. But now it's generally accepted legally that the tetrahydrocannabinol or THC component of cannabis, which is the psychoactive component or the one that makes people high, with hemp, if it's 0.3% or less, then hemp is lawful.
Offends have been using hemp in their garments for years now. Join us on this journey into this magical plant.
The United States has, to some extent, led the way in that they've legalised marijuana in a number of states, and Australia tends to follow the trends to an extent in the United States legal system.
In the US, cannabis is still federally illegal and remains a Scheduled I drug. That being said, a number of states have legalized recreational and medical use. So now we're going to head north to America and see what's going on in the cannabis industry there. Let's see what we can learn, hey? Hey guys, we made it over here to the US of A. Just had our first experience at a dispensary. My mind was blown. There's so many different things you can get. They're doing like gummy bears and food and pens and pre-rolled things. But what I was most concerned or interested about was the amount of THC that they now are doing in the weed.
I'm at Venice Beach. I sell recreational marijuana here, and the legalization has helped me to not be in jail because I have a license to be out here.
No, it's crazy. There's a lot of technical stuff going on with the weed here, like 5 and 7% THC. They're now doing 20 to 30%. So we're going to try out some of the products and. So yeah, I guess. Quite nice aromas.
Now let me introduce you to me. I'm Alan. I'm from Houston. I'm actually out here on a trip, and I'm praying for President Trump to make marijuana federally legal. But until then, I'll be coming to California to buy weed and take it back to Houston and sell it over there. Fuck the rules. Y'all's laws are stupid. Marijuana's gonna sell regardless. It's inevitable. So either hop on the train now or we'll be selling marijuana to you later.
Hi, my name is Bunny Lua. I own the Greenhouse Smoke Shop in Venice, California. Well, marijuana is of is is one of the most sacred herbs that is available to us right now. It's just only been recognized as such, but it's been used since the beginning of time. So since I've been open for going on 19 years now, I've seen people from all walks of life, like all smokers from all walks of life, from like the 18-year-olds all the way to like 100-year-old. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's the first time we used to grow the weed naturally. Now the youth, the people, them show a lot of different things on the weed, right? And now it affect the people them mentally and physically. You see what I mean?
Marijuana was discovered on King Solomon's grave, the wisest man in the world. So who don't know that now they know.
You see me? Jamaica.
And listen, don't forget, say the hemp clothes is the best clothes to wear because it's natural. So who don't know the hemp clothes, y'all, start wearing hemp clothing.
It's super interesting because this need or want for changing your state of mind it's almost written in our DNA. It goes all the way back to Egyptian times, shamans using tobacco, hallucinogenics. It's generally concerning in America with the rising popularity and the legalization of marijuana recreationally. The impact on the younger generation, is it going to be positive or negative? We might not know until it's too late. Hey guys, we're over here in America still exploring the legalization of cannabis. Today we're meeting with the newly retired DA of the LA County to continue our conversation of the potential negative impacts of the industry.
My name is William Hodgman. I worked for the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office for 39 years and am recently retired. I have seen an impact with regard to the legalization of marijuana. My former office, the LA County DA's office, has created a special prosecution unit to deal with some of the more, you might say, technical or case-specific issues. For instance, developing drug recognition expertise so that law enforcement can more readily determine that a driver is under the influence of marijuana. The whole phenomenon is relatively new in California. We're still learning about how to cope with it.
We're here in the north of California to meet Larry, a second-generation cannabis farmer.
Probably Humboldt County, where I was born, the infamous Emerald Triangle, basically where all of the folks in the 60s ended up doing the hippie lifestyle and growing cannabis. I was born at home, 70 miles from the nearest hospital. My dad and brother delivered me. It's kind of a culture thing. If I was born in Idaho, I'd farm potatoes, but I was born in Humboldt, so I farm cannabis. Everything we do is organic and all certified. Again, sadly, corporations tend to do things unethically and for mass consumption and mass profit. And so it takes away from the cultural aspect of it. We tend to dabble a little too much and we're very arrogant as humans and thinking that we can create this little microenvironment and produce exactly what we want. I think we'd be better suited trying to just fit in. Yeah, currently CBD is federally legal, so long as there's no THC in whatever product you may have. It can be shipped, it can be bought in any state in the US.
We're in Nevada City, which it's a pretty beautiful place, and I reckon it's a good place to start investigating.
Greetings, my name is Ryan King and welcome to the Spirit House, and specifically the spirit of CBD, which we represent. Cannabidiol it is called. And what's unique about our system here, it's about recognizing the sacrifice of the plant, the spirit energy, the organic nature, the hemp environment which has zero THC, and most of all the healing that is taking place. We say spirit again because of the sacrifice of the plant kingdom that is given its life to heal us. It is part of our culture. It's always been our culture, and you can transform your life. It's been a miraculous journey, and the hardest part is basically how can we have you make contact with the medicine. It's just magical.
So what does the legalization mean for the average Joe? Well, pot is now legal in California for adults 21 and older, and individuals can grow up to 6 plants and possess as much as an ounce of cannabis. But can hemp redeem its image? I think it can. Let's get back home and really spark this hemp revolution. Morning, yeah, we're here in Nimbin. We're going to speak to Andrew Kavalasis. He's a leading expert in the industry, having grown hemp locally since 1999.
So there's a great book by Dr. John Jiggins, Sir Joseph Banks, and the question of hemp. The wars we're having now for the future supply of oil, we had the same wars for the future supply of hemp. Yeah, so Joe in his book talks about coming to Australia, stopping off at Norfolk Island, trying to grow hemp there, trying to access the New Zealand hemp flax and going to New Zealand and then coming to Sydney, and the first 3 years in a row, his initial job was to grow hemp. What they did know was the difference between industrial hemp and the narcotic cannabis, the one that came from India. So, you know, we've got a really big problem that we've got to deal with here in Australia, and it really is beyond Australia. It's an international issue. And you know, the details of cannabis and cannabis law reform in Australia and around the world is complex.
My first introduction to cannabis probably would have been when I was about 18, and it probably would have stemmed from Nimbin. It's been known as the cannabis capital of Australia.
And they're making a documentary about weed, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
About learning about weed and hemp, and the difference between hemp and weed, and which one's good to smoke and which one's good to wear.
No, I'd just like to say to the next generation, which I guess is you got, sorry, we fucked it.
We're thinking the hemp party could be a dark horse in the next election.
Yeah, well,
come from behind.
how can I help?
The differences in the hemp plant are no different than the differences in humans that come from different countries.
Oh, cannabis industries are going to be huge. I mean, you're going to see tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Australians employed directly or indirectly in various cannabis industries, whether it's at the hemp seed food level, you know, medical, and obviously in the future around recreational. That is the progression of things. Once we start, you know, the ball has started rolling. It's how long a government wants to maintain the failed prohibition. I mean, the debate should really always, the starting point should be, it's failed, how do we get out of this? And I think when the debate matures, that's when we'll see a lot of things. Not only jobs, but savings, our police, our enforcement, our health budgets, our nutrition will get better. There's just so many positives that can come from hemp at the human level. For humans, for the citizens of Australia and around the world, it'll be a better life.
Legalisation of medical cannabis is gaining traction in New South Wales, with Premier Mike Baird admitting he's sympathetic to the push by terminally ill patients and their families.
The word's out there that cannabis clearly can cure cancer and give enormous relief and cure other things as well.
It's not, I don't even think it's very widely knowledgeable here, is the difference between hemp and marijuana, because for so long they've been put in the same basket, but it's the same plant, but there's different uses.
Hi there, my name is Ben Jansen. I'm a director of Cannabis Doctors Australia. The real interest came to the forefront of my mind when I found out about the US having a patent on cannabis as a neuroprotectant, and as a doctor I went, why on earth is there a patent for cannabis being a protector of the brain when we've been told by Nixon and Reagan that it killed brain cells? My mother died of a neurodegenerative brain disease, and so that sort of pissed me off that knowledge was out there and it was being manipulated by people. Yes, it was antiquated and hard, and my record for paperwork trying to get someone approved was about that thick. I didn't even count the pages, it was so thick. Anything else that you need to justify outside those fast track conditions, so chronic pain, chemotherapy-induced nausea, epilepsy in children, spasms and multiple sclerosis and palliative care, anything else you can do a prescription for, but you have to justify that. On the flip side of that, my record for having someone approved, put them in the computer and it fired off the application down to Canberra in the TGA, and 3 minutes later I came back with an approval. In my mind, there's little doubt that recreational cannabis will come to virtually everywhere in the world due to its safety profile, due to its medicinal benefits. The question is how quickly that would happen, how quickly it will be adopted. In Australia, yeah, somewhere in between 2020 and 2030. I'm not holding my breath. The savings and the benefit to society will be proven in time. The problem with pharmaceuticals these days is a lot of diagnostic momentum and pharmaceutical momentum, and we just start throwing drugs at people because it's easy. So don't treat the guideline, treat the patient. And put that on my tombstone, treat the patient, not the guideline, and it'll be quite ironic.
As a medical professional, Ben has to make the best decisions for his patients. It's amazing to see him engaging in conscious research and questioning mainstream pharmaceuticals. Luke from Balanced Earth has been experimenting with low THC industrial hemp. The raw material can be mixed with lime to create a carbon negative building product.
Okay, so this is last year's hemp crop hull. This is what we hauled out of the bottom of the paddock to potentially process and build with. On the outside you've got the bast fibres, which are the really strong ropey fibres. During the war they used it for almost anything, everything. Inside of the bast fibres you have the hurt. So that's the central core of the stem, and that's what we use for building.
Hey guys, we're back here at Luke's farm. It was just a number of months ago these plants were pretty much knee high, and now they're like up to 8 foot. Today we're going to go meet some other local farmers getting into the industry.
Hi, I'm Mike Shea, and this is my wife Maxine. We are the founders of Hemp Collective here in Byron Bay.
We've got a lot of demystifying to go, like there's 70 years of propaganda that's been created, and if everyone in the hemp industry and in Australia and the world can actually see the benefit of hemp, and putting it complementary with different products, I think we can actually make a huge difference. Hemp Collective was born out of the fact that we want to create our own solutions and feel empowered and not disempowered.
Companies are starting grassroots style farms, experimenting with low THC plants and starting an industry from the ground up.
We form up the walls with formwork and lightly tamp it in, and basically you can build your house out of it. All materials have a carbon footprint, and the waste of the building industry, you know, it's incredible that it creates up to 50% of the world's waste when you look at what goes into building a home. You know, to find this product that actually creates no waste and then also is taking carbon out of the atmosphere, and this is the material I want to use in my building practices.
Although Australia is a pretty progressive nation, we've fallen behind on the integration of the cannabis plant. Not only medicinal, but food, textile and the construction industry too. Medical cannabis was made legal in Australia in 2016, yet it's still not getting into the hands of people in need. Morning guys, we're here at United in Compassion. It's a medical cannabis conference on the Gold Coast. It's a super inspiring story. Lucy Haslam, through losing her son, has got politicians, doctors, industry professionals, growers. They've all come together to speak on behalf of medical cannabis on where it is now and where it's going.
So my name is David Caldicott. I'm an emergency physician based in Canberra, creator of the Australian Medicinal Cannabis course. I think medicinal cannabis is inevitable in Australia. It's just a question of how long patients have to wait and how many patients have to suffer before it's actually introduced.
Similar to America, you have to pay to play at the table of the commercial cannabis sphere. With only 6 active growing licenses within Australia, only one of them being privately owned, that means the rest are traded on the stock market, which is a relatively new idea.
If you can imagine, our greenhouse has thousands of medical cannabis plants growing, but row 1 is for epilepsy, row 2 is for chronic pain.
G'day, I'm Richard Di Natale, leader of the Australian Greens. We've been campaigning on drug law reform and in particular medicinal cannabis and also recreational cannabis law reform for a number of years now. When it comes to medicinal cannabis, I think we're very close to getting a set of rules in place that mean that people can get access to medicinal cannabis when they need it. I think when it comes to legalisation of recreational cannabis, the journey's going to be a bit longer. We're seeing huge changes around the world. We're seeing what's happening in places like Canada, referendum now around the corner in New Zealand. I do hope that within the next few years, Australia moves on. We have a mature, evidence-based conversation about why it makes so much sense to take this out of the hands of criminals and to put it within a regulated health framework.
The system is broken, yet I can feel the energy behind this plant. It's come a long way since the stereotypical hippie in the 70s growing pot in their backyard. With all these brilliant minds that we've met over the filming of this documentary, I know it will reach its full potential.
Hi, my name's Thomas. I work for the Office of Drug Control. One of the key things to keep in mind when we're talking about the difference between cannabis and industrial hemp is that medicinal cannabis, is essentially a medicinal product designed to be used under Australian manufacturing standards to give you a good quality medicine, whereas industrial hemp is an exempt product under the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs 1961, which states that countries can regulate industrial hemp for fibre and seed production only. So at the moment, industrial hemp in Australia is regulated through states and territories, and it's only allowed to be used for fibres and for seed, which means you can use seed to make various hemp seed drinks and things like that, and you can use fibres to make t-shirts and ropes and so on and so forth. One of the areas that people are talking about the use of industrial hemp is into things like cosmetics, to use the hemp flower itself as a foodstuff rather than just the seeds. At the moment, that would not be lawful. However, there's opportunities as time goes on for that single convention to reconsider the various other uses of industrial hemp. But until such time as Australia takes some fairly lenient interpretations on the United Nations Single Convention, we're restricted to hemp and hemp seed and hemp fibre only.
Away from commercial gain, Australians need to come together to grow the cannabis industry from within our shores. The opportunities are limitless when once again this plant is recognised for its worth to society. If only humans were to get out of the way of this plant and let it grow and flower to its full potential.